Let's get into estate and legacy planning. Do I need a will or a trust? And what's the difference between the two of them?
Yeah, I think the answer to that question lies in the complexity of your situation. And that, I mean, unfortunately, that boils down to the amount of dollars that you have. So, I mean, at a most basic level, you do need a will, a power of attorney, health directives, power of attorney, or medical power of attorney. And then, titling assets appropriately for the simpler cases. You don't necessarily need a revocable trust, but titling assets with transfer on death or payable on death agreements. It's common on bank accounts, but a lot of clients don't realize they can do that on their investment accounts. That eliminates the need for a revocable trust. But once you get into the more complex asset levels as you go up the spectrum of affluency, that's when the more complex estate planning considerations and trust and the type of trust comes into play. Also family dynamics. I mean, it doesn't just rely on complexity. It's also, I want my son or daughter to have these assets, but what are they going to do with them when they get them? And what if they got them now when they're 20 instead of when if I die soon or die early or because that's a much different. How do we protect for that scenario, but also protect for the scenario or plan for the scenario where it would be a normal. I passed away in my 80s, because I mean, also family dynamics, brothers, sisters, there's divorces, remarriage, things like that, where those come into play. And we're there to navigate those conversations with clients about estate planning and legacy.
And there's got to be a way to differentiate, to understand very simply, a will does what? And then if you have a trust, how does that make it different? Meaning, you mentioned there's intricacies, like you can establish specific processes on how the money is distributed, so a will, just plainly, right? If I wrote a will, what happens?
I mean, the key thing that the will is doing is it's a bequeath. It's telling folks and legal parties, judges, the courts, where you want your assets to land and how, but it doesn't avoid probate, for instance. So that's what we're trying to avoid, is the stressful situation that only amplifies family dynamics after your passing. So having a plan for that, and that's why I say that it goes one step further than just having a will. In the simpler cases, it's titling accounts effectively. And the more complex, that's where you bring in the more complex, I need a trust, and what type of trust.